For masters in the US, for LLM at least, you don't need any of the exams that need to be done. It is extremely difficult to get a TA position in the law school. Most students have their job offers within their second year of their law. California, I think, is one of the best places to have an Indian community or a good Indian community. As a university, they have an Indian society, which is the ISA. Living in California is extremely expensive in general. People in the US and in California are extremely nice and very helpful, which is something that you don't get to see back in India. California definitely is extremely unsafe. Be very clear of what you're looking for in terms of your own career and why you want to come to the US.
Hey guys, welcome to College Dunia Study Abroad. This is Varun, and today we have Kriti Rathi with us. She's pursuing her Masters in LL.M at the University of California, Berkeley. She's also an intellectual property attorney. Hi, Kriti.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How's it going with you?
It's great. So, Kriti, can you introduce yourself to our viewers? And also talk a little bit about your background.
Sure. I'm a 2018 graduate from India. I did my degree in Bachelor's of Business Administration and LLB as like a 5-year program degree. Then I pursued intellectual property as my field and I continued working there for like about 4 years. And then I applied for my master's in the US. I was essentially focused on the US, which is why most of my applications were based only in the US. And I got into UC Berkeley, and here I am graduating this year.
That's great. So, well, I have a question. So you worked in India for 4 years, and then you pursued your master's, that too in US and in a law school. So, what made you choose this decision? What made you come here?
So, I think I always had it in my mind that I wanted to do a master's degree since like my undergraduate days, like law school days back in India. So I knew that I wanted to do it, and I was also pretty clear that I didn't want to do it from India because I wanted to do it from like academic reasons, like actually, work like theoretically understand issues or like possibly read about issues which are going to come up in the future, which we haven't really thought about at this point. And in terms of India, I feel like the education system somewhere lags in that aspect, is because we are mostly stuck up on reading about what has been happening in the past rather than actually thinking about what may happen in the future and then reading about courses like that. So I always had that in my mind, but I had this another idea that I always wanted to do my master's after gaining some experience in India, because I wanted to come to another country, but I'm understanding the theory of how legal industry works here, but I wanted to be able to have that idea of how it works back in India, so I can do like a comparative understanding of the laws globally and really understand how things are different between India versus US, or like how India would go about a certain thing in terms of IP and how the US is looking at it and where the gap is, or whether India is doing better or whether US is doing better. What are the perspectives behind
So, on a whole, a greater exposure, I guess. That's what you were aiming for.
Right.
That's nice. So why did you choose UC Berkeley?
Simple answer, it's the best in terms of IP and tech law. There is no other college that is better than UC Berkeley to do your IP and tech. And I want to explore working in the US after I do my LLM. So I feel like California is like a place that I would want to stay.
Oh yeah.
Continue.
Agreed.
As like more East Coast, etc. So I was like, UC Berkeley worked perfectly for me.
I think I agree with that. California has so many companies and you have ample of opportunities here.
Exactly.
So which other universities did you apply for apart from UC Berkeley, and how many admits did you get?
So I had applied to, I believe, 5 other universities apart from UC Berkeley. So this was Stanford, NYU, Boston, and Michigan Law, and UC Berkeley. I had a list of like 10 universities that I was targeting to apply to, but I believe when I applied to the basis, like the deadlines being on like different months and like ways apart, when I applied for UC Berkeley and all of these other colleges, I think I had a substantial number of admits from them. Apart from Michigan Law and Stanford, I got an admit in all the other three. So Boston, NYU, and UC Berkeley, I got an admit in. And both NYU and UC Berkeley were like my top 2 or top 3 colleges. So I was just like, if I've gotten into the best, like my top ranking 2, top ranking 3, I really don't want to spend any more money applying to the lower ranking colleges and I can ahead with that anyway.
That's a well planned structure. I mean, like, you really planned it out, I guess.
I think you do have to, because some of these colleges have rolling admissions. Some go about like they have specific deadlines and you have to comply with the deadlines if you want to get in and be selected and all of that. So I think it just helps out. If you are getting into your top 2, top 3 colleges, you would not ever consider your top 7
other colleges. Yeah.
So there's no point of spending that unnecessary amount of extra money on applications, because these applications are expensive.
Agreed. Yeah. Especially for us, it's definitely expensive.
Exactly.
So, did you write any GRE or IELTS or TOEFL?
No. So for masters in the US, for LLM at least, you don't need any of the exams that need to be done. You only need to give your either TOEFL or IELTS, whichever you want. So basically just the English proficiency test, and then it's all basis your application. That's what they look at.
So you have given IELTS or TOEFL?
I had given TOEFL.
Okay. What was your score, if you know?
I scored about 112 on 120.
Oh, that's a great score.
So I had actually given, I was considering doing, like I said, I was considering doing masters since my college, like final year itself. And I had at that one point thought that maybe I should directly go from college and do my masters in the US and then see, how things are. And I had given my IELTS and TOEFL even back then. And I realized that when I researched more on the universities that I wanted to apply to, mostly almost every university accepts both IELTS and TOEFL. But in terms of US, TOEFL is something that is, some universities sometimes don't accept IELTS, or they have a preference for TOEFL over IELTS. So I just decided this time that since I had a list of universities that I was applying to and everybody was accepting TOEFL seemed like a better idea.
Okay, that's nice. So actually, I had a question in my mind about this. Like, so as you said, you planned to come for masters as soon as you completed your undergrad, but you took a detour and you worked for a few years. So what made you decide that? And do you suggest for anyone who's pursuing masters in law school, especially, to work for a few years and come for the masters, or like what would you suggest?
So honestly, from an individualistic perspective, like I said, my reason for working, like I did think about doing my masters and like making applications and all of that back in my undergrad. But then I didn't actually end up making any applications. I just gave IELTS and TOEFLs and that was about it. I didn't even write a single state SOP or an LOR or didn't do anything.
That's surprising.
So I just gave my IELTS and TOEFL, and by the time I got the results for that, and it wasn't that they were bad results, but I just realized that I attended a few seminars that these colleges keep happening about admissions and stuff. And when I attended those seminars, I just felt like there was something that was missing. Like I wasn't, so most of these, the purpose of like an SOP or like most of these colleges, what they're looking for is how you stand out against other students, right? Or other applicants that are coming to them. And colleges like UC Berkeley, NYU, big time colleges, take Harvard, Stanford, Columbia, whatever. All of these colleges have like tons and tons of application, right? So what exactly sets you apart from them? And that is a question that I could not, back when I was graduating from my final year, find an answer to. Just like, I don't know. I don't have, like, I'm not the topper in my college. I'm not the best person. I'm not someone who has like 9.8 CGPA or anything like that. So I have not worked. I have interest in IP, but so do a lot of other people. So exactly what is it that sets me apart from them? And I could not find an answer to that. And that's the reason I decided to take that detour and actually decide to work for a couple of years in India, learn my own field, learn how Indian law works, how Indian system works, and then think about doing So I would say it's not completely a bad idea for you to think about doing your master's right after you do your law school graduation. A lot of people do it. I know a couple of people within my batch also who are doing it, and it's completely an individualistic choice. But I feel like if you have certain experience, it becomes easier for you to get into colleges or like get scholarships, etc., get some grants, get some help.
Yeah.
Because most of these colleges value experience a lot, especially when you're coming as a master's student, right? So if you worked for a couple of years in India, there are certain things that you can contribute to them, certain perspectives that you can bring to their classrooms that they are looking for, and that makes you a good candidate, like a candidate that they want to get, instead of you looking at colleges and being like, oh, will this college accept me? So I think that shift is something that you get from experience, in my opinion. And I think that's about it. Like,
that's an individual choice. That's what you say, and
mostly an
I
individual
totally
choice.
agree.
Choose whether you want to directly continue studying.
Yeah.
To be honest, after you've worked a couple of years, it does become a little difficult to go back to studying. It's not the same thing. You are used to a different kind of lifestyle when you're working in a law firm, when you're working with a company back in India, versus when you come back and you go through the whole process of doing assignments and like.
I think it's a decision, when you take the detour, you need to be prepared for all of that.
Exactly.
And that's how we pull it off.
Right. And in most cases, if you're practicing in India and you continue to, like, you are interested to continue your career in India, I don't think LLM or like masters in law per se add much of a value to your career as that, unless you have specific goals of like shifting into the academics or the research side of things, or like say go into maybe in-house and like places which necessarily demand an LLM degree. It doesn't specifically add anything extra. You can, the kind of experience that you gain from working for that 1 year versus studying for that 1 year is going to be more or less the same. It's not like you suddenly become a better candidate, at least in law. You don't become a better candidate from job perspectives. It's not like your salary increases or you start getting positions or designations in India. You still continue to be at the same level as somebody who's not done an LLM.
Agreed. Well, yeah, that's true. So basically, all we can do is like leave it to the individual's research and decision, I guess. But yeah, that's some good information that you have given. So, how did you manage your SOPs and LORs? I believe this was part of the application, right? SOPs and LORs, and like how over the LORs, professional or academic? Like, can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So I'll start off with LORs because it's more of a set pattern and there's like a specific standards that you have to go through. So mostly when you're doing your applications for law, every university has their own requirements of what they want in terms of your SOP and in terms of your LORs. Usually, I saw that 3 LORs are more or less a good number for you to have, because you can mostly satisfy every university's requirement with like 3 or 4 LORs at the most. 4 is if you really want to get into a university, something like Stanford or something like a top level university, or you think that there's something that is not the best in your application or somewhere that you feel like you're lagging, then an LOR can help you cover that up. So an extra LOR always helps. But 3, I had gone for 3 LORs. And
so how many for UC Berkeley? How many LORs for UC Berkeley?
I did 3 LORs for UC Berkeley
and
all other
professional or academic?
So usually universities state how many professional and how many academic they want. So in most cases, they would say that they want 1 professional, 1 academic, or 2 professional, 1 academic, 2 academic, 1 professional, whatever. For some universities which don't mention anything and just leave it up to you, I would say a mix of both is good, and depends on how many years you've been working after you graduated. So if you're just applying right after your graduation, you would probably not have any professional.
Yeah, that's only academic.
So just get academic LORs, and I don't think it's a good idea to get an LOR from someone who you've interned with for a month, because 1 month is not sufficient for them to know you well enough to be recommended. But if you worked for say 6 months with a firm or like 8 months with a firm during your internships, then okay, definitely get a professional LOR from them, irrespective that you were just an intern. And I did 2 professional LORs because I'd worked for 4 years, and it was easier for me to get professional LORs because I had people in the industry who with my ex-bosses and everyone, I could just request them for a recommendation. And I did one academic because a lot of my faculties that had taught me had also left the university and were pursuing like different things in life.
Okay.
So it was difficult getting hold
Yeah.
of them or like trying to convince them how, despite being in a different university, they can still give me a letter of recommendation from a previous university and all of that. So that becomes a little bit of a tricky situation to maneuver because not all,
Yeah,
not all
but
that.
yeah, I agree to that. But yeah, I think like having a mix is better, and you have to try your best to get that. As far like it's only that I think LOR should be from someone who actually know you better at least for 6 months. That's what I understand from what you said.
Yes, I would say a
And
year is the best case scenario. Someone who knows you for at least a year is what the universities are mostly looking for. But
got it.
if it depends on your situations, if you're a fresh graduate and you're directly applying without any work experience, then maybe a 6 months LOR from like someone who you work with or intern with could also suffice. But try to focus and try to get LORs that have at least people who know you for at least a year if that works
Yeah.
out.
That's right. So coming to SOP, can you like in short tell me it's section wise like what to write? I know everyone has their own individual SOP that we can't actually give information completely on that. So can you tell me just the section wise like how many sections you had and like just a brief on what each section should be about?
Sure. So again, so university wise depends quite a lot. So you have to make sure that before you start actually applying to universities or to like start looking at, once you have the list of the like a ranking or like a list of the universities that you are interested in or want to apply to, note down their exact criteria as regards the SOP as well as the LORs, because every university will have a different criteria for all of these. And for UC Berkeley, it was like a 2-pager SOP kind of a thing that they were looking for, 3-pager SOP. And for UC Berkeley, was pretty much a standard SOP. They wanted to like understand who you are as a person, where you come from, why did you choose law to begin with, why did you choose why are you choosing to do an LLM, what is your background, why an LLM now, why from UC Berkeley, and why within California, or like why the field that you're choosing within law. So I was choosing IP, so like why am I choosing IP, why do I want to do that,
Okay.
to give like a background to all of this within your
Okay, that's interesting. And you've kept it really crisp. I think those set of questions, if you answer it, will actually cover 2 to 3 pages. I think.
right.
So coming to the course structure, can you tell me how's the course structure? I think it is just 1 year course, right?
Yes, so it's about a 9-month course to be precise. So you have only 2 semesters in LLM in the US, the fall semester and the spring semester. Each semester is about 3.5, 4 months. So it's pretty short. You get about some 20 days maybe or so
Yeah.
break in between the 2 semesters for like Christmas and New Year and all of that.
Yeah.
But that's about it. And
how many credits is the course?
In terms of visa requirements, you need at least 10 credits every semester for you to maintain the visa status. So that's like a mandate. So you definitely need 20 credits bare minimum just to keep the visa status. UC Berkeley has a bare minimum of 22 for you to graduate from Berkeley.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you
That's
can
nice.
choose to divide it however. You can do 10 in one semester and choose to do 12
in the other one, yeah.
Or you can also do more than 22. This is just the bare minimum requirement. So.
And what is the fee structure for this 22 credits?
So UC Berkeley usually publishes their fee on their website, so it's pretty easy for you to get an idea about how much the tuition is going to be, how much the living expenses they are predicting to be, and all of that. And they don't differ quite a lot every semester, like over the years, maybe like $2,000-3,000 extra.
So how much was it for you?
I think my tuition is about $70,000 or $75,000.
That's your I-20 amount you're saying, or just the tuition?
No, that's my I-20 amount.
So what is it?
Oh, sorry, that's just my tuition. My I-20 goes to about, I think, $90,000.
That's freaking a lot.
Okay. They also calculate your living expenses.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, but living just being 20,000 in California is still surprising. But okay. So did you have any scholarships or something?
Not from UC Berkeley.
Or you got it from somewhere outside?
I got it from Boston. Had offered me a pretty lucrative scholarship,
for the other universities, got it.
Yeah, for the
Okay.
other universities, but I did not get anything for UC Berkeley. But it was like my dream.
Obviously, it's over. Yeah, exactly. School matters more than the scholarship sometimes. So, like, do international students get any TA or RA position? Just, I think every course has teaching assistants, research assistants. So, like,
You
do
do, you do, but so in terms of law school, I would say this: it is extremely difficult to get a TA position in the law school. A, because by the time you are coming to the US, they already have TAs already for the fall semester. So if you have to really look for a TA position, you have to do that way in advance before you even end up in Berkeley. So like
okay.
pretty much around the time when you get an admission letter and you figure out that, oh, you
Yeah.
want to go to UC Berkeley, start exploring options for like applying to TA positions if you're
Okay.
really interested. Look for professors whose classes you want to take or who you want to become a teaching assistant to, and you might get it, but it is a little difficult to get a TA
Yeah.
position in the fall semester for law students, LLM students. It's easier to get it in spring semester comparatively, but it's still pretty competitive because even the students who are doing their graduation in law, like first degree in law, JD,
Yeah.
are also looking for TA positions, and they are going to be competitive, and they are usually people who have studied within the university for a year, at least at the law school itself. So they are more aware of how the pedagogy works, how the classes work, how the system works. So they do end up having an upper hand on you in terms of like TA positions. But if you're good, then obviously you can get it. It's not impossible.
God.
RA positions are much easier to get in the law school. Like
Okay.
you keep having professors come out with like applications and stuff. Even in fall semester, you get applications after you join Berkeley that somebody's looking for an RA position, and if the
So it's
research.
better to concentrate on RA than TA, where there is more
I
probability.
mean, I
I mean,
would
like,
say
you can try both, I guess.
I would say you should apply for a TA position also. It's not like no LLM has ever gotten it.
Yeah.
People do get it, but you have to be really, really good. You have to be really interested into
Highly competitive.
yeah, highly competitive.
So
And
I'm sorry, are you doing any part-time job right now?
I am doing a part-time job on campus, but
What
it's not a TA but an RA
what is it?
position. So I am working as a swimming instructor at the
Interesting.
Berkeley, whatever.
Okay, that's nice. And what is the salary that you're getting, maybe per month or
Uh,
per hour?
so they have an hourly for a part-time job. So the minimum hourly fee in California is $17, or like $16.50, I think, per hour. And I think my job pays me about $17.50.
That's still nice. So over a month, how much do you earn, like, for a month? Do you get all the 20 hours or?
No, because there are a lot of other swim instructors as well, and like I also have my courses, so I have to balance out between working and this
Work
thing.
and the course? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I usually prefer not doing too many hours of the work as well, because it becomes extremely heavy to manage the course load. With that, so I do about like 4 to 5 hours every week, and that gets
Mm-hmm.
me to around 250, somewhere
A
between
week,
$200-$300 per month.
per
Like,
month.
but
Okay,
$50 approximately, around that.
okay, okay. So what are the future prospects of the LLM course here in US, and how does the university help in getting a job?
It's extremely tough. Getting a job after masters in law is not easy at all.
That too in a different country, huh?
Yes, and that is pretty much it. Even if when you're applying for like applications to universities, or when you're speaking to them, most universities that you speak to, their admissions counselor or whoever it is, director of admissions, whoever you speak to, everybody's going to emphasize on how difficult it is to get a job as an LLM, because it's not a wrong thing. They have a whole system in place for recruiting for law students, but it only applies to the graduates, like people who are doing their first degree in law here.
Okay.
They have a whole system where within the first year they are snagged by like firms for like coming up as like summer associates, etc., doing internships with them. And then
Yeah.
right after their summer associate, either they do one, max to max they do two summer associates, and they have a job offer from that same place. So
Oh
they
yeah,
have
like a conversion.
so they have like their entire system works on essentially PPOs in the US, mostly on PPOs in the US. A majority of the people have their job. So it's a 3-year degree here if you do like a bachelor's of law, and most students have their job offers within their second year of their law. So
Interesting.
90% of the people would already have job offers. So firms are not really looking to hire someone who's not done their basic
So
understanding
in LLM, it's very difficult. That's what you would say.
Yes.
And what probability? Like, what is the percentage? Like probability of getting a full-time job? Any
I mean,
number?
I have seen people from last year's batch and the batches before that get jobs in the US. It tends to take time. It is extremely disheartening and demotivating to like apply
Agreed.
and not get responses and everything. But at the same time, it works out for a lot of people if you're really consistent, if you're really persistent about it. I've seen a lot of people get jobs as well. It just takes time and it's a lot more difficult than like people who.
What are the average salaries that they can expect once they get a full-time job in this course?
I think the salary ranges are pretty good in California, at least. I don't know about other states or other cities.
Well, obviously, California is going to be way higher than the other states, but give me a rough number on an average.
I think somewhere, so if you're starting as a first-year associate in the US, I think your salary ranges between $80,000 to $150,000 per year. And
that's a good range, actually. 80,000 to 150.
It's almost a double, like it's 80,000 and double of 80,000 almost. So the range is pretty wide, but it completely depends on the kind of job that you're able to get and
and the company as well, I guess.
Yeah, company.
So which companies generally, which firms or which companies hire the LLM students like most regularly? Name any like maybe top three that you know like or you target?
There are none. I would say there are none which have a thing called we normally hire LLMs. There is no such thing as we normally hire LLMs. It is completely on luck and it is completely on how well you know people, how many contacts you have and everything. And you tend to sometimes, I've heard stories of people getting job offers from like the most like abhorrent like options, like they just sent an email to somebody and they ended up getting a job from there. Didn't even know.
That's interesting. So basically explore all the opportunities possible.
Exactly.
That's
or there could be another person who knew somebody, had a contact with them or was working with them from your like home country, or you had, if you were in like a law firm or something, or if you were like in an in-house, you were liaising with somebody in the US with a US law firm and you know them personally, or you have spoken to them in the past.
So networking, I think networking what helps you get a job, I guess.
Yeah, I mean.
So, got it. So, what was your first impression when you reached US and your university, basically? Like,
so Berkeley is essentially a student town. Doesn't have much outside of the student life per se or the campus per se. It's pretty much revolves around the campus, the residences.
What was your impression? What was your first impression?
Yes, so I was obviously very excited to come to US. This is also my first time in the US. I had never visited the US before this. So for me, it was a different experience, and like it's also a whole other game to like travel to a country on your own, figure out how you're going to get where you're staying, everything. So it was like a challenging aspect. Initially, when I landed in San Francisco, the airport and everything was not that fancy. As much as you've heard of San Francisco, it doesn't seem the same way, and you're just like, the facilities in India are like so much more convenient and so much more easier to understand because it takes you time to adjust here.
Yeah.
So I think for me, my first impression when I landed was I was immediately homesick, and not homesick in terms of my home, but like India as a country. That, oh my God, I already miss India. What is this? Why do I have to pay for like a trolley to like carry my luggage?
Yeah, I know, right?
What is this capitalism going around? But I think the city SF is really pretty. Berkeley, not so much, but the campus was really beautiful. So there are still places within the campus that I'm still exploring despite being in the university for 6 months that I've never seen before.
I think 6 months is too short for you to explore. You have you should spend more time, and given the short course you have, it's really difficult for you to actually explore. But yeah, so how's the Indian community in the university? Is there like too many Indians or like very diverse, or what do you think?
So California in general, I would say, has a lot of Indians because of the tech industry
Yeah.
being here. And there are not just like lawyers, but I would say there are so many engineers from India here working. So California, I think, is one of the best places to have an Indian community or a good Indian community. And within the university, definitely, as a university, they have an Indian society, which is the ISA. Then they have a couple of other, within my law school, I have like societies, not essentially focused on Indian community, but the South Asian community or the Asian community,
Got it.
Asian Americans, all of that. So like they have like much more broader in terms of like getting all Asians together.
So pretty much diverse, I feel. You do have Indian community at the same time. It is pretty much diverse too as a.
I think on an average, because of Berkeley's reputation being such, I think on an average in LLM, you at least end up having quite a big chunk of people who are from India. So you are never going to feel like you are out of place or that you don't have people to help you. And I have been very lucky. At least I would say the Berkeley community is extremely good. People are extremely helpful, irrespective of whether they're from India or not. Everyone's just ready to help you out. And
that gives some confidence to the students, I guess. So that's really nice. So let's talk about your living situation. Like, how do you manage your living expenses and what are the expenses? Can you talk a bit about it?
Yeah, so I am living in an apartment in here. It's like an individual house. I had approached a couple of people before I was coming to the US on like Facebook groups, etc., looking for people who, and I had this thing in my head that I wanted to preferably stay with like people who are Indians, because it's just easier for you to manage the house, and you also get like a more homely vibe when you have like Indians around you. People with whom culturally you are the same, and you can associate with them. You can talk to them about India if you're ever feeling homesick. They have the same experiences in the US. So it's just easy to like bond with them and like to get along. And I had reached out to my flatmates through one of the Facebook groups and asked if they would want to like stay together or like consider looking for a place together, and that's how I found my flatmates. And then we looked at a couple of places online, took virtual tours for whoever was offering, and basically decided to get the apartment. Living in California is extremely expensive in general, Berkeley or not Berkeley. Berkeley, despite being a student town, is extremely expensive for like real estate and living expenses.
Thanks to California as a state.
Thanks to California. So I think I stay about 25 minutes away from my campus by walk. And I am paying about $1,500 per month per person.
So just individually, you're paying $1,500. And how many rooms is the house?
So we were all very clear that we wanted individual rooms. We did not want to share the room with somebody else. So we have a 3-bedroom apartment.
Okay, that explains the 1,500 then. All right. So it's just the rent that you mentioned, right? 1,500.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I think in terms of living expenses, traveling is not that expensive in here, especially like Berkeley, San Francisco is extremely, convenient because they have a decently good public transport system. Especially within Berkeley, you have buses connected everywhere, and thankfully the university gives us a transit pass, which basically allows you to travel free of cost for your
That's
course.
Nice. And that's free.
Yeah, that's free. So that's included with that. So we don't have to pay anything extra.
Not every university does that.
Yeah, exactly. So the buses and everything are free for you. In the US, like, depends again, not all of it. It was free even in SF until a while back, but I think they went through some changes of university per se, because SF had a University of California branch as well. Now they no longer have a University of California. They've renamed it or something has happened. So the benefits of SF have gone down. Like, you now have to pay for buses and for commuting within the SF. But Berkeley and Oakland are essentially free. You can go around, it does not cost you. Even to take the transit, the BART, which is essentially like a metro from back in India. Those are also discounted on our passes because our passes are given by the university.
Student university. Okay.
You get student discounts on them.
So how about the groceries and the food, electricity, mobile? How much do you spend on those?
So, I would say about on an average 150 to $200 for I think about $150 for like electricity, utility bills, all of that.
Okay.
And I would say normally I end up spending around $400 to $500 per
Yeah,
month on
on
groceries,
food.
entertainment, all of that, like everything else apart. I don't usually eat outside quite often. I go out maybe once a week or maybe twice a week, but mostly I'm
So roughly, I think we can round off at 2100, as a ballpark number a month.
approximately yes, but also depends on like the living, because what I mentioned is actually a lower end rent situation in California, and we are staying like 25 minutes away from
Away,
campus
yeah,
because
yeah,
we didn't want to spend too much on rent. So if you're more into like one of those community apartments or like community living buildings, then the rent goes up to like almost, I don't know, 2,500, 3,000, depends on the kind
that's
of
a lot.
that you go in.
That's still a lot, I guess. But yeah, that's some good information. So, like, do you have anything like any good experience or a bad experience? Can you share one good experience, one bad experience uh, from your time studying abroad?
So, the good experience I would definitely say is meeting people from different cultures and just having friends all over the world. Like, you get the opportunity to speak to people, understand how things back in their country work, how culturally they are different, how work wise they are different, and all of that. And that's a really good, I think, a really good experience to have. Also, people in the US and in California are extremely nice and very helpful, which is something that you don't get to see back in India. That people are just like they are offering themselves up to you to help you, as opposed to like you asking for help. People are just ready. You just have to reach out. You sometimes don't even have
That's
to reach out,
nice.
and they'll
That's
understand that you're suffering from something and they'll try to help you out. So all of that is really good. I think one of the worst things that I've faced is uh, US is extremely, I don't know, maybe not US, California definitely is extremely unsafe
oh
in
yeah,
terms
I
of,
heard so many stories.
yeah, like, I mean, I used to think when I was back in India, I used to think India is unsafe. There are places within India like Delhi and all which are not safe for you to be out and all of that. You have to be careful always. But Berkeley takes the notch, like definitely. Any day. I have not seen a place where I'm genuinely scared. I'm usually roaming around looking like all sides of the street, and this is not even like super late, like 1 or 2 in the night. This is like 7 or 8 p.m. in the night. Like after sundown, I'm just extremely careful of what's happening around. And
Yeah.
almost on a I think once in every 2 days we get emails from the university about a crime that has happened
Oh yeah.
in or around the campus.
At least it's
So,
good that they're informing us to let us be safe, I feel.
I mean, yes, for sure, I agree with that. But getting an email every second day makes you start feeling more and more
Oh yeah,
anxious and more,
conscious,
like,
more
yeah, more
anxious. Yeah.
conscious, more insecure. It's like, oh my God, is somebody following me? Somebody around is there? Like, and there's like a lot of homelessness and everything. So I think that is a part that I don't like or I don't
Yeah.
enjoy. Despite being a student town, they haven't done much to like make it feel safer, which is extremely surprising.
Well, I hope everything will settle down and you'll be safe. So, any advice to the students who are planning to pursue your course at your university?
So I would say do not. I would essentially say do not go behind like the tag of UC Berkeley. Definitely it helps, but also look at like the kind of courses that you want to do and the professors that you want to work with, that you want to study with. So that was actually one of the other reasons why I had chosen UC Berkeley, was because I had three professors in my mind which I wanted to work with, or like which I wanted to, like learn from, understand the laws from, have discussions with them about things. And they were all teaching at UC Berkeley, and I did not think that I would have that opportunity if I was not in UC Berkeley. And which
Yeah,
is why I decided to give up another universities that were even offering me like scholarships, etc.,
scholarships.
to take up UC Berkeley. So it really depends. Be very clear of what you're looking for in terms of your own career and why you want to come to the US. And preparation, like the timelines of preparation actually is more important. for you to understand, I was going to apply the year before I actually came, but I had delayed it so much and I had not looked at it on time that I ended up not having enough time to prepare my SOP and to properly apply, which is why I had to defer my applications for about a year from when I actually decided that I wanted to do my master's. So I think the timelines really matter, and usually everything in the US, like most application deadlines, will go from between October to December of the previous year. So you have to really start planning from like maybe say I would say February or March of that year that you want to start your applications in October to December.
That's some really nice advices actually. So I think don't go behind the tags and prepare ahead of your timeline.
Yeah. At the end of the day, as an LLM, a university tag can only get you may add to you as like 5% more when you're applying.
Brand value, that's it.
It will probably give you 5% more when you're applying for a job in the US. Not more than that, at least not for an LLM, right? What matters more is how well you know your concepts, how well you know your subject, how well you are interested, what is your passion for it, and look for professors that you're really interested in, like having those conversations with, because it's not like an Indian system where faculty come and teach you and you're going to just learn from them.
Even I think the same.
Yeah,
even I think the same. Like resume and your profile matters more than where you study or anything else.
Exactly. That might help you like 5% to like get you to an interview, and therefore if you're not from a brand tag, maybe getting to an interview might be a little difficult. But even after getting the interview, you have to impress them at the interview to actually get a job, right? And
just studying at a really branded university doesn't be enough.
Exactly.
Well, that was nice. It was nice talking to you, and it was really some good information that you have given to us, because law field is pretty, untouched, and like not many people talk about this field in terms of masters or any study aspect. So that's really nice talking to you, and thanks for giving time.
Sure, it was amazing speaking to you, Anand. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good day.